Under the harsh Australian sun, Barry Allen walks alone along the empty road, sweat dripping down his face as every step feels heavier than the last. He forces himself forward, repeating in his head, one step at a time. His legs ache, but he keeps moving, telling himself, one foot in front of the other. Even as the heat presses down on him, the pain flares with every step, yet he clenches his jaw and pushes through it, determined to ignore the pain. As Barry Allen continues down the road, the electronic tag snapped around his ankle flashes, a constant reminder that he's being watched. He notices it with a flicker of frustration but forces his focus back inward, telling himself to ignore the limitation. The sun beats down as he steadies his pace again, repeating one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Tightening his grip on his pack straps, he quietly reassures his own resolve. You've got this. A nearby tap drips slowly, each drop falling with exaggerated weight. He watches it descend and reminds himself who he is. My name is Barry Allen. I'm the fastest man alive. And this is agony. Barry stops beside the road, the heat pressing down on him as his eyes lift to the massive green sign ahead. 90 miles straight, Australia's longest straight road, 146.6 kilometers. The road stretches forward endlessly, a perfect line cutting through the landscape, empty and silent. He stares down its length and thinks about what it represents. The 90-mile straight, the world's longest road, straightest section of road, a place with barely any traffic, barely any interruption. For someone like him, someone built for speed, he knows exactly what this road used to mean. For a speedster, this is nirvana. The road that once felt like freedom now feels endless in a different way. He remembers how he used to come here to run, to clear his head, to let motion drown out thought. But that version of his life is gone. He isn't allowed to run anymore. The realization settles heavy in his chest as he moves forward at a painfully human pace, forcing himself to accept the only option left to him. If he can't run, then all he can do now is think. As Barry walks, his thoughts drift back to the moment everything began to unravel. He remembers believing he was supposed to be fast enough to always be on the right side, yet it still took him too long to realize he wasn't. The doubt started here in Australia, in Melbourne, with a kid named Mitchell. Mitchell had been enhanced and called himself Galaxor. He remembers him thinking, he wanted to be a hero. He was a hero. He stood up for a group of protesters and, impossibly, stood his ground against Superman and Wonder Woman, two of the most powerful beings on Earth. Barry remembers thinking about how rare that kind of courage was, how unreal it felt to watch a kid challenge gods. He remembers standing there, doing nothing while Superman and Wonder Woman broke that boy. He had met Mitchell once when he was younger, but the moment hadn't stayed with him, not until it was too late. Mitchell had looked up to him. Barry realizes now, I was his hero. And I failed him. I failed a lot of people. The weight of it all presses down on him. This was where it started. Suddenly, Barry sees a truck losing control somewhere ahead. He knows this stretch of highway too well. It goes on forever, miles and miles of nothing, where drivers slip into exhaustion without even realizing it. He thinks about how easy it is to become unfocused out here, hypnotized by the white line stretching endlessly forward. They even have a name for it, white line fever. As the truck tips and begins to fall, Barry's mind does the math instantly. That much weight, that much speed on a road this empty, there's no one coming to help in time. The conclusion hits him. If nothing changes, the driver is good as dead. Barry looks down at the electronic tag locked around his ankle. There are rules, he reminds himself. He agreed to them. He is always watching, always monitoring his movements. For his sins, he was allowed to walk free, but not to run. He reminds himself, for my sins, I was allowed my freedom, but I'm not allowed to use my powers. He lifts his head again, eyes fixed on the disaster unfolding ahead. But I'm the Flash. His bag slips from his hand and hits the ground as he makes his choice. He ignites, breaking into super speed, knowing full well what it could cost him, because standing still while someone dies is something he simply cannot do. In a flash of yellow lightning, Barry Allen, the Flash, launches into motion, sprinting toward the crash at super speed before anyone else can react. He phases through the shattered window, opens the seatbelt, grips the driver tight, and vanishes. A heartbeat later, the man is deposited safely on the roadside as the truck finally collapses and explodes behind them. Barry's ankle monitor begins to beep wildly. Barry's communicator begins to beep. Batman watches everything unfold in real time. He asks Barry what he's doing. Flash shrugs it off. "Not much, Bruce. What are you up to?" Batman reveals that he's been watching him, monitoring his movements. Barry jokes about it, saying, "Like, all the time? 'Cause that's a little creepy." Batman reminds him of their agreement, the rules Barry accepted, the conditions of his freedom. Barry pushes back, asking if Batman really expects him to stand there and watch someone die. There's frustration in his voice, not anger, the kind that comes from knowing the right thing and being told not to do it. Batman goes quiet for a moment. He then tells Barry that emergency crews have already been notified and that help is on the way for the truck driver. He warns him, "Stay out of trouble, Barry. I don't want to have to punish you." Barry accepts it. He says it's fine and explains that he's heading where nothing ever happens. Batman then asks where that is. Later, in Canberra, Barry stands at the door of a quiet house. As he knocks the door, he recalls what he was told, that Mitchell Davies had died here. A woman answers the door, Laura Davies. Barry carefully asks her if her son is home. She lets him inside. As Barry steps into the house, he thinks to himself, "I learned the truth." Laura then explains that her son is almost always inside. She wishes he would go out more, get some sunshine, live a little. But her voice trails off, heavy with everything left unsaid. Laura closes the door behind them as Barry's eyes drift downward, stopping on the wheelchair in the hallway. He had already looked into Mitchell's condition before coming here. "They said there's a chance Mitchell could walk again? With a lot of work? With a lot of rehab?" Laura explains that it isn't that simple. She explains that the real problem isn't just Mitchell's body, it's his will. The problem is he doesn't want to. She opens the door to her son's room and Barry sees him lying on the bed, distracted by the television, surrounded by trophies and medals from a life that feels like it belongs to someone else now. Laura's voice breaks as she looks at him. Those so-called heroes didn't just break his spine that day. They broke something more than that, something more deeper. Barry steps into the room slowly, careful not to startle him, and finally speaks Mitchell's name. The reaction is instant, sharp, defensive, angry. Mitchell snaps back, demanding to know who the stranger is and why he's here. Barry introduces himself. "My name is Barry Allen, and I was the Flash." Mitchell freezes, the anger drains from his face, replaced by shock as the realization sets in. The Flash, the hero he once admired, is standing right in front of him. After a moment, Mitchell regains control and asks the only question that matters to him now. "Why are you here?" Flash answers honestly. He's here to talk about Galaxor. The name alone makes Mitchell recoil, dismissing it, saying that Galaxor was stupid. Barry cuts him off gently, refusing to let Mitchell dismiss himself. He tells him he wasn't stupid. "You were a hero, Mitchell, and I wanted to say I'm sorry." Mitchell's mother breaks down quietly behind him. Barry finally says the things he's carried across an entire continent. He apologizes for not being as brave as him, for standing there and doing nothing, for running away when it mattered, and for taking too long to come back. He then tells him, "I've been reading, studying. I'd like to help, if you'll let me." He offers help, not as a hero, but as someone who failed and wants to make it right. Mitchell looks at him skeptically and asks if Flash doesn't have things to do. Barry answers without hesitation, "No." Then he smiles, "I'm not in any hurry." Mitchell strains as he tries to walk. Sweat runs down his face, every movement costing him more effort than it should. His legs tremble, threatening to give out at any second. Barry stays close, watching carefully, not rushing him, not touching unless needed. Inside his own head, he thinks, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Ignore the pain, ignore the limitation. Mitchell grips the parallel bar with everything he has. Barry keeps his voice calm and encouraging, reminding him to take it slow. One step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Mitchell moves again, just a fraction, but it's progress. Slow, painful, undeniable progress. As Mitchell pushes forward, Flash watches with quiet pride, telling him, "You've got this." Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.